Hi, my name's James, and today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the album Hyperdrama by the electro house duo Justice. Not being too familiar with Justice, I wasn't sure what to expect on my first listen through, and with the opening track Never Ender, there's obvious moments of influence from Daft Punk, but then moving to track 2, I definitely wasn't expecting this big hardcore techno Gesaffelstein style track. This was definitely a massive surprise, and to be honest, was a little bit jarring at first. And the main things that really stood out to me were these moments where I would be listening to a song and I'd start thinking to myself, this song's starting to drag on a little bit, it's starting to get a little bit stale, and then out of nowhere there would be these shifts in mood and in feel that were so unexpected. You know, they would usually come with a structural shift, sometimes the addition of an instrument or the subtraction of an instrument, and they were just so welcome that they really enhanced the song and really made the song interesting and added this extra depth and layer to many of the songs. It was these small and unexpected moments that really made it very apparent that Justice isn't your typical EDM duo. I also really love that throughout the entire album there's this conversation happening between the big funky sections and the hardcore techno sections. Sometimes they're really fighting for attention, and other times they're really working together quite well to really deliver an almost perfect experience of both styles within a single track. As for the production, at moments it is really tight, really pristine, really modern, but then again there's these textural shifts that bring so much life and character to a song and add these really deep moments that sort of start making you question what the song is about, particularly in some of the instrumental songs that don't have lyrical content or narrative driving them. Take for instance a song like Saturnine. There's enough sonic variance in this song that you never really get bored, and it also left me with a feeling or a thought of wondering, I wonder if the next song is going to continue this same sonic palette or if we're going to get something completely different. There's really a constant attention to detail to the role every musical element plays within all of the songs. Have a listen to Mannequin Love. There's absolutely no bloat or filler throughout this entire track. Everything is really in its place and serves the song. There's also some really surprising synthesizer choices, and it's the way that these synthesizer sounds are used to introduce a new texture or transition to a new section or a new song that makes them stand out but also fit so well. There's plenty of vocalists that feature throughout the album as well, and majority of the time their vocal performance fits the song so well. However, they do become somewhat stale when you start looking at the album as a whole and kind of comparing them to each other. For instance, what we get from Kevin Parker on Never Ender and One Night All Night kind of just makes these songs sound like Tame Impala songs. And to be honest, when listening to One Night All Night, I kind of tricked myself into thinking that this was a cover of a Tame Impala song. And to be completely honest, I'm still not fully convinced that it isn't. The reverbed out and textural vocal performance that we get from Ramon on After Image offers a great contrast to the overall dark feel that we get from the instrumentation. We also get a very reverbed out and textural performance from the Flints on Mannequin Love as well, which again for the track, I think works quite well, but also is kind of too familiar, too samey to what we got from Kevin Parker. However, the spoken word feature that we get from Conan Moccasin on Explorer is so damn refreshing, particularly at this point in the album. It really serves to bring forth this sort of imaging that is being built up of this dystopian, noir, horror dynamic that the song brings. And to me, it made me start to visualize Nosferatu or Count Dracula kind of roaming through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The sung vocals on this track as well are a really nice treat, and I also really enjoyed the effects that were used here. It sort of just adds a slightly different textural palette than what we'd had previously from the Flints and Ramon and Kevin Parker. The vocals that we get from Miguel on Saturnine are really nice. I really enjoyed the fact that they are fairly dry, that there's not a lot of effects being used here, which I think helps cut through and contrast really, really well with the effects that have been used on some of the instrumentation, particularly that electric guitar track that has the reversed reverb effect on it. And then we finish off the album with a vocal performance from Thundercat, which was pretty cool. However, we do get a return to that reverb drenched vocal. However, I think it's the way that these effects are used throughout this particular song which helps the song move along, particularly once it gets to sort of 2/3 of the way through and the reverb starts dying off, and then we finish off with this like very dry vocal before it then kicks into the final chorus, which I think just helps deliver those particular vocals and the message behind the lyrics in such a more impactful way than if they were still drowned and drenched in the reverb. And then overall, because the vocals are being delivered by feature artists, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of cohesiveness in the lyrical content or the themes. They all seem to focus around relationships in one form or another. However, there doesn't seem to be any sort of direct narrative or connection between any of them. Overall, it kind of does just seem that Justice gave free rein to the vocalist when it comes to the lyrical content and theming for the individual songs. Throughout the entire album, there's really two things that stood out to me when it comes to the songwriting of each of the songs. And it was really the choice in instrumentation and also the attention to detail to making sure that the voicing for the instrumentation worked as perfectly as it could have. Each musical idea really serves its purpose and really fits so well. Even in these moments where there is the two genres kind of clashing, there's nothing within either genre that is kind of fighting itself. And even when the two genres are clashing, it almost feels more like they're clashing but still moving towards the same goal. And I think that goal is really to produce great songs. I really think this is most relevant throughout the instrumental tracks, because even though the looping sections of the instrumental tracks are pretty damn good in their own right, there would just be these sort of one-shot samples or these bridging moments that without them, the songs would get pretty stale pretty quickly. The other songwriting standout moments were definitely the transitions. The transitions on this album are some of the best that I think I've ever heard. Have a listen to how Moonlight Rendezvous transitions into Explorer, or how Dear Alan goes into Incognito, or Incognito into Mannequin Love. Some standout tracks for me are definitely Incognito, a track where the funk and the hardcore techno are really fighting each other for your attention. Explorer, an absolute sonic delight, and Saturine, a track where the funk is really at the forefront and the hardcore techno is kind of hiding in the back, almost like plotting its return or its revenge. There's so much variety throughout the entire album that there really is something in every track that makes me keep going back for more listens. There definitely are a few tracks that I could say are skippable, but if I do have the time to listen to the entire album in full, I'm definitely going to choose that option because it really is a full album experience from front to back. With saying that though, a fun little experiment is to start off by listening to Moonlight Rendezvous and then finishing off with Mannequin Love. It just gives you such a different perspective of the album, which is absolutely not intended, or at least I don't think is, but somehow works fairly well. So I'm going to rate this album a pretty strong 7 out of 10. There's some moments that are just almost perfect, but then there are some moments which unfortunately are skippable. And the album still works if you do skip some of those moments. So most importantly, if you've listened to the album, what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out one of these other videos appearing before me, and you'll catch me in the next one.